Drumeo.
American novelist Toni Morrison once said in an interview, "If you can only be tall because someone is on their knees, you have a serious problem." And we have a serious problem. Minneapolis is burning to the ground. There's angry people everywhere. Everyone's mad. People have a right to be mad. The problem is that anger does not necessarily solve a problem. It makes your voice be heard. And people start to understand how we are tired of this, how people are tired of this, the violence, the racism, the bigotry. But it does not necessarily solve the problem, I don't think. Peaceful action goes a long way, and that's difficult when people are mad. Very, very difficult. I've been thinking about this all morning. How do I make this? How do I make this episode? How do I talk about this as a white guy? I can't even begin to understand the injustice that black people are feeling right now because of what happened to George Floyd, and that's not all. There's so much leading up to this boiling point where people simply have had enough. And I think that black people are maybe exhausted with being the ones that talk about it, wanting change, wanting things to be different. It's time that white people start talking about this, and it's uncomfortable. You look at any piece of media out there where a white person is talking about this, they get a little squeamish. It's not comfortable. On the podcast, I talk a lot about uncomfortable situations. Doing the right thing is an uphill climb. Taking the easy way out. Being tone deaf, not talking about this, just sweep it under the rug. Oh, that's not my problem. That has nothing to do with me. That's the easy way out. We need to discuss this. Black people need our support, not just within the drumming community in general. Racism is a construct. It's something that people came up with so that there can then be some kind of artificial hierarchy amongst people so that we can then become separated. That there's somehow a difference between one person who's black and one person who's white. All it is skin color, a skin pigment that's been perpetuated by media, by history, all kinds of things. We're all just part of one race. It's the human race. That's what we are. And we need to work together. There needs to be peace and love and understanding of one another. We need to support each other and talk about the things that are uncomfortable. You can't just avoid this kind of stuff. By doing that, you're taking the easy way out and you're making a problem worse. And we need to stand together as a human race, because that's what we are. We need to set down these insecurities that some of us have, that takes on the shape of many different things, whether it be online trolling, whether it be how you treat your family members within your household, how you treat your kids, how you treat your neighbors, and how you treat people of color. I have a bunch of comments that came in because I put up a post yesterday, hashtag Black Lives Matter. I want to read some of these to you. Ruben Spiker wrote, "We need to acknowledge the fact that jazz music, funk, R&B, blues, and rock are gifts from black culture. Just think if we loved the people who gave us these gifts as much as we love the music itself." I don't know who wrote that. It's a sad reminder of where we are at, but it's also a beautiful picture of how we can grow. If you are a white person, you need to step up your game. Talk to your friends and family about these issues. Quit acting like everything is okay, or that racism isn't in your city or country. If you can't see the racism, or don't think it's there, or maybe choose to stay cozy at home and ignore what's happening in our city or country beside you, you are part of the problem. I was definitely part of the problem. I'm growing and I'm challenging myself to review my relationships and how I could have done better in the past, and also how I can start to do better in the future to make a difference. That was beautifully written. I know that this means a lot to Ruben. After I had made this post, he sent me a message to say thanks for starting this initiative. I think it's really, really important. 7Tommy8 wrote, cops are assholes across the globe. Here in Chile, they left 400 people with only one eye. I've tried to not put all of them in the same sack, but anger is too big. Drummerboy_X. I've been hurting so much that I don't know what to say or even how to feel. It just feels like darkness all around, but I'm glad to see people that I love and even companies stand by us through this really tough time. Thank you to Drumeo Gab, Drumeo Official, and Seamus Evely. Orbital Groove Chad wrote, thanks, bro. Just outside of Minneapolis, yet spent the day boarding up businesses with thousands of volunteers ready to deal with any dumb fuck arson, anarchist nut jobs trying to pull us away from the real goal of equality and justice for George and everyone else who deals with this racist bullshit. On another note, you're my favorite podcast, been hooked for a year. Truly mean that, and I hope to send you a proper thank you audio email when this settles down a tad. Hashtag stay safe, hashtag George Floyd. Ryan Thomas Musician wrote, being African American in today's world is insane and unfair. I was adopted at birth into a white family, and I never really knew what white privilege was because my parents never had the stereotypes that most people of African descent would be exposed to by white people. Then when I got to middle school, I really saw how people view African Americans as well as other races. The worst being a lover of rock and metal music and getting bullied for not liking hip hop and being bullied for who I was to the point of thinking I was born the wrong color. This then plays a role, especially with the George Floyd incident and past racial-driven issues, that a person of color can't be as successful as a white person, can't have morals, in brackets, or is a thug, has more reason to have an excuse to be a bad human being. It's really sad that people of different color get put into this stereotype, especially with incidences like this. Not everyone is bad if they're colored. And I want to emphasize, too, that not all police are bad, like my brother is going to become a police officer soon. But there is corruption. And if we could all get along and expose police brutality, racism, and all that divides us, no matter what level, it would make a difference in stopping the chaos. Rudimental_Santiago. This is massive. As an organization that has such a strong platform in the drumming world, wish other, in quotes, important companies would begin getting behind this. Great job, and please continue to use your strength as an organization as a stage of calling out these injustices. AJ Willikers wrote, I think we as drummers are keenly aware of our ties through the instrument to the slave history in America, up through the segregation and jazz age. And if not, you should be. I honestly pray we as people could emulate how loving the drumming community is. Blessings. Dr. Sweet Jesus. No one is born evil. They are led astray by ignorance. The Buddha. The last one that I want to acknowledge is Jonathan Moffat. He put a heart. And Jonathan, I was talking to him earlier today, and I asked for his permission to read a passage that he wrote for George Floyd. I wanted to take a moment to read this. Jonathan Sugarfoot Moffat wrote, I love you, dear George Floyd. God, please wrap your mighty arms around him and accept him into your kingdom of heaven. He needs you now. From what he's gone through just days ago, who did not deserve the evil violence and devil-driven cruel suffocation imposed upon him, his body and his soul. My soul and eyes cry out for him, as he can no longer cry anymore for himself. Even in his sincere extreme fear, he so cried out for mercy so many times from the hate-driven officer and his accomplices who accosted him so coldly, cruelly, insensitively, and inhumanely. Let him, George, our beloved, know you love him and is his shelter now, and that he knows that he is loved here still by a community, a nation, and the whole world as a whole. We all hurt from his tragic and so violent and helplessness loss, and his loss of us, those who care for and about him, as it is and has become our loss too of him, leaving so great many hurt, dismayed, stunned, angry, insulted by their arrogance, and in fury of what they've done. Blanket us all with your comfort of love, understanding, needed comprehension of what's happening and how this could happen, and a humbled realization that ultimately you are and will be in charge. Be the true justice we so badly and direly want and need at this time, and others in the past, as well as those in the future happening to come. I pray wholeheartedly these things in the blessed name of your Son, Jesus Christ, and our beloved Savior. Amen. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful words from Jonathan. And thank you, Jonathan, for allowing me permission to read this. I really appreciate it. I'm sure everyone else does too. The solution, in my opinion, is love. We as people need to find our own confidence. From whatever source that may be, we need to find it. And we need to develop that so that we don't need to hurt anybody, so that we can be peaceful, loving human beings as a human race. We need that. Look at this world right now we're in. It's filled with fear. It's filled with anger. It's filled with confusion. And I am personally very concerned about us as a human race. We need to stop the hate. We need to. It's essential. It's crucial. If we're going to thrive as a human race, we have to stop with the hate and the violence, the racism. One last thought. When we are babies and we're first born and brought onto this earth, everybody gathers around, cherishes the newborn child. It's innocent life that is a blank slate. And that's why babies are so beautiful, because they don't hold any prejudice. They don't have any thoughts of hate. All they need is your love, support, guidance, good teachings, instilling good morale, because they are the future of change. And as they grow older and they leave home and they become adults, maybe parents think, I hope that my baby's going to still be safe. I don't ever want anything bad to happen to our kids. In that video with George Floyd having his neck pressed on by that officer for 8 minutes until he ultimately died on the street with his face on the pavement, he's crying out for his mama, who died 2 years before that day when he died. We just need to love one another, support one another. Because I think that the future of this world, the way that things are going, is not good. We need to look around, be grateful for what we have, for the people we have in our lives, and do the best to positively affect everyone that we are in contact with from a day-to-day basis. And it does not matter what color their skin is at all. There's a human being underneath all that skin, and we need to value human life a little bit more. Thanks again for listening. Much love to everybody.